Ladies and gentlemen, let me start off by saying this loud and clear. You do not need a whole crowd to feel complete. You just need one right person with a heart full of pure, real, no matter what kind of love. That's it. See, we live in a world obsessed with numbers, more followers, more friends, more options, more attention. But let me tell you something, the right person is not counted, they're felt. They're the one who knows the sound of your silence, the one who sees the storm in your smile and says, I'm not going anywhere. You don't need 100 people to understand you. You need one who refuses to misunderstand you. You don't need someone who looks perfect for the gram. You need someone who will hold your hand when the lights are off, the money is low, and the tears won't stop. Pure love doesn't perform. It provides peace, patience, understanding, and that good old feeling of safety, like home without the rent. And let's get one thing straight, pure love is not weak. No, it's strong. It takes strength to choose someone over and over again, to be loyal in a world full of options, to love with both hands when the world tells you to keep one hand on your pride. I've seen people surrounded by crowds still feel empty, and I've seen people with just one ride or die soul beside them, and they're out here glowing like they just touched heaven. You don't need everybody, you just need the right somebody. Let that sit for a second. See, been taught to chase crowds, to be liked by everyone, to rack up followers like they mean something to our worth. We post, we pose, we perform, all hoping somebody, anybody, will see us, love us, want us. But what happens when you wake up and realize that all those people you tried to impress don't even know your middle name, don't even know your fears, don't even notice when your smile is fake? That's when it hits you. The real power isn't in being wanted by many. It's in being seen by one. One person who looks at you and doesn't just see what you do, but sees who you are. The you behind the filters. The you that's tired. The you that questions everything some nights. That's the one. That's the right somebody. You know what I'm talking about? The person who hears the way your voice drops and knows something's wrong before you even say a word. They don't need the details. They just know. And more importantly, they care enough to show up. Everybody wants to feel loved, but too many people settle for attention dressed up as affection. There's a big difference. Anybody can clap for you when you're winning, but the right person, they'll stand with you when you're losing, and they'll still look at you like you're worth everything. That kind of connection is rare, and let me tell you, rare ain't something you find in the middle of a crowd. It's something you recognize when your soul meets its match. Sometimes people will say, I need someone who gets me. And I get that. But let's be real, even you don't always get yourself. Some days you're fire. Other days you're fog. Some days you love loud. Other days you go quiet. The right person isn't just someone who understands all of that. They accept it. They don't try to change your colors. They love you in every shade. That's the difference. That's the one. Now here's the truth a lot of folks don't want to say. Some of us are busy trying to be liked by the wrong people so we can feel enough. But let me ask you this. How many times you gonna dance for people who don't even hear the music in your heart? How long you gonna shape shift, people please, overextend, all to be seen by someone who still won't choose you at the end of the day? That's not love, that's exhaustion. And you're worth more than that. The right person doesn't ask you to perform. You don't have to prove you're worthy. You don't have to beg for their time, their care, or their effort. Because to them, loving you ain't a job, it's a joy. And when someone loves you like that, you stop questioning your value because they remind you of it just by the way they treat you. That's the beauty of the right somebody. They make love feel like a place, not a puzzle. You could have 10 people texting you good morning and still feel alone. But one right person, just one, their voice, their energy, their presence can calm storms inside you that you didn't even know had names. And they don't even need to fix everything. Sometimes they just sit with you. Quiet, steady, present. That kind of love don't come with noise. It comes with weight. It anchors you. And when the world starts spinning fast and your mind gets loud, They're the piece that pulls you back to center. And listen, they're not perfect. That's not what makes them right. They'll get it wrong sometimes. They'll forget to text back. They'll say something off. But they come with honesty. They come with effort. They come with heart. And when you've spent years dealing with people who only show up when it's convenient, that kind of consistency feels like a miracle. You could be standing in a room full of people cheering for you, but still feel unseen. But when the right one claps, it hits different. You feel it in your bones, because you know they're not clapping because they have to. They're clapping because they believe in you. They're clapping because they know what it took for you to stand up and try again. Their support isn't for show. It's sacred. That's why you don't need everybody. You just need the one who reminds you that you're not too much, the one who makes silence feel safe, the one who makes laughter easier, the one who makes life feel less like survival and more like purpose. Crowds are cool. Applause feels good. But when the lights go off and the room clears out, who's still there, holding your hand, reminding you that you're loved even when the spotlight is gone? That's the right somebody. Pure love ain't perfect, but it's patient, it's real, and it shows up every day. That's what makes it powerful. That's what makes it worth everything. We've been sold this idea that love is supposed to be flawless. Picture perfect. Scene beautiful, smooth, easy, always smiling, never arguing, flowers every Friday, and breakfast in bed on Sundays. But let me ask you something. Where does that kind of love exist? On a set, in a script, not in real life. Because real love doesn't live in the highlight reel. It lives in the behind-the-scenes moments. The messy, tired, late night, I'm sorry I got an attitude moments. That's where it breathes. That's where it's born. See, pure love isn't about how many kisses you post. It's about how many battles you face together. It's not about showing off. It's about showing up. And not just when it's fun, convenient, or cute, but when it's uncomfortable. When the bills are due and the patience is low. When your insecurities are loud and your faith feels shaky. When you're not your best and yet they still choose you. Fully, gently, faithfully. That kind of love ain't for the faint of heart. It doesn't run when things get difficult. It leans in, it listens deeper. It holds tighter. It doesn't need you to be perfect. It just needs you to be present. And don't get me wrong, it's not always sweet. Sometimes it's stubborn. Sometimes it's silent. But even in the silence, it's there. That's how you know it's real. Because it doesn't disappear when the mood changes or the vibe gets weird. It stays, it adjusts, it grows with you. And let's be clear, pure love doesn't mean you won't argue. Oh, you will. You're gonna have those days. Days where you speak different languages and both think you're right. But the beauty of pure love is that it fights for you, not against you. The goal isn't to win the argument, it's to protect the relationship. Even in the middle of a disagreement, there's still respect, still care. Still that invisible thread that says, I'm not going anywhere. Love like that, it doesn't come to impress, it comes to invest. It's the kind that notices when your energy's off and doesn't ignore it. The kind that remembers how you like your coffee, but more importantly, remembers the childhood wound behind your silence. It's the love that holds space for your healing. The one that's willing to have hard conversations and stay at the table even when it gets uncomfortable. Because they're not just there to love the best parts of you, they're there for the whole story. Even the chapters you don't read out loud. Spend so much time chasing the version of love we saw in a music video, the kind with matching outfits and perfect timing. But the truest love usually doesn't have a soundtrack. It's not glamorous, it's not always cute. Sometimes it's awkward, sometimes it's tearful. Sometimes it's two people sitting on opposite sides of the couch, both trying to figure out how to come back together. But they do come back. That's the magic. Pure love isn't a feeling, it's a decision. 1,000 little ones made over and over again to stay, to try, to forgive, to understand, to learn, to grow, to love again after being hurt, to choose connection over pride every single day. And hear me, this kind of love won't always feel like butterflies. Some days, it's more like Band-Aids. It won't always be fiery and passionate. Sometimes it's quiet and consistent. Sometimes it's just someone showing up at the door with your favorite food because they know you had a rough day. That might not look like much to the world, but to your soul, it feels like a warm blanket in a cold room. This love is real. That's what makes it sacred. Because in a world where people are used to walking away when things stop being easy, the one who stays, who still chooses you when your light flickers, that's the one you hold on to. Not because they're perfect, but because they're present, because their love has depth. Because when life hits hard, you don't have to wonder where they are. You know, they're right beside you, rolling up their sleeves and saying, "We got this." So no, pure love isn't perfect, but it's better because it's honest, because it's steady, because it doesn't pretend. Just is. The right person multiplies your peace, not your problems. Simple as that. Life is already full of noise. Between the bills, the deadlines, the news, the pressure, self-doubt creeping in at 2 a.m., you don't need somebody who brings more chaos to your doorstep. You don't need someone who's constantly flipping your peace upside down and calling it love. No. The right person, they don't add confusion to your mind. They bring calm. They don't start storms. They sit with you through them. Some people come into your life hurricanes, loud, messy, all over the place. They stir things up, drain your energy, leave you second guessing yourself, and then somehow convince you that you're the one who's hard to love. That's not love. That's emotional gymnastics. You shouldn't need a recovery period just from being around someone who's supposed to care about you. Now, when the right person shows up, oh, it's a whole different atmosphere. Their presence feels like deep breath energy. You're not walking on eggshells. You're walking in freedom. They don't make you question your worth every 5 minutes. You don't have to audition for their affection. You don't need to earn a place in their heart. You're already there. You're safe. And that right there, that safety, that peace, priceless. The right person doesn't subtract from your spirit. They add to it. They multiply your peace in quiet ways. Sometimes it's just them remembering that important meeting you had and texting, "You got this." Sometimes it's them pulling you close when you're trying to act tough, but they can feel the weight you're carrying. They don't need a big moment to show up. They show up in the small ones, and that's where it matters most. And listen, peace doesn't mean everything's always easy. The right person won't make your life problem-free. They're not a fairy godparent. But what they do is walk with you through it. They're not running for the exit when things get hard. They're in the kitchen washing dishes, looking at you like, "We got life to do, let's do it together." That's peace. That's partnership. That's a teammate, not a tornado. And let's talk about energy because some folks drain it. You ever been around someone who made you tired just by existing in the same room? Not because they're bad people, but because they're just not good for you. They carry stress like perfume, and every time you see them, you leave more anxious, more confused, more empty. That's not how it's supposed to be. But the right one, they fill your cup. They don't take more than they give. In fact, they check your cup before they even take a sip. And if yours is looking a little low, they top it off with love, kindness, with patience, and sometimes with snacks because the right person pays attention. They remember you like extra caramel in your coffee or that you hate pickles on your sandwich. It's not about the food, it's about the fact they care. They notice. They remember. That's love in action. Peace isn't loud. It doesn't need to prove anything. It's not flashy. It's not dramatic. It just exists. It feels like being able to breathe all the way down into your soul. Feels like laughter in the middle of a hard week. Like a forehead kiss after a disagreement. Like someone saying, "I'm not mad. I just want us to get better." That's the vibe the right person brings. They don't create more fires for you to put out. They sit next to you and help you hold the hose. We've gotten used to associating love with struggle, fighting for it. And yes, love takes work, but not constant war. If love feels like you're always trying to survive it, That ain't peace. That's trauma in a nice outfit. Peace is knowing you're loved without performance. Knowing that even if you stumble, they've got your back. Knowing that they don't just love the fun parts of you, they hold space for the complicated parts too. Peace is emotional stability. It's knowing they're not going to disappear when you need them most. It's trust without tension. Comfort without codependence. And you know what? The right person will challenge you too, but not to tear you down. They challenge you to grow, to think deeper, to love yourself better. They correct you with grace. They don't embarrass you. They build you, so if someone's presence feels like confusion, exhaustion, or fear, that's not it. That's not peace. That's a red flag wearing cologne. But if their presence brings you clarity, laughter, rest, and strength, if being with them feels like coming home to yourself, then baby, you found something rare. Because peace isn't passive, it's powerful, and the person who multiplies it in your life, that's the one worth keeping. If you're chasing a crowd, you'll miss the crown. Too many people are so busy trying to be liked that they forget who they are. Running after folks who barely clap when you win, shrinking yourself so you can fit into places you were never built to belong, begging for attention like your worth depends on it. Let me tell you something, the crowd doesn't define your value. The crowd doesn't crown kings or queens. Purpose does, alignment does, truth does. And truth don't need to be popular. You keep worrying about who left, who ghosted you, who didn't text back, who watched your story but didn't respond, who used to be close but faded out like fog in the morning. Let it go, because people who leave, they were never meant to carry the weight of where you're going. If they could walk away that easy, then baby, they weren't built for the journey in the first place. See, the wrong people will have you questioning everything about yourself. They'll come into your life like a performance, loud entrances, big moments, fireworks in the beginning. But where are they when it's time to do the quiet work? When you're healing, when you're doubting, when you're tired, they're ghosts. Present when it's pretty, absent when it's real. That's why you can't be out here begging people to stay. You can't be lowering your standard to hold on to somebody who won't even raise their effort. You can't be crying over someone who didn't even bother to check if you made it home safe. Stop chasing the ones who made you feel like you were too much, too emotional, too needy, too complicated. No, you weren't too much, they were just too small. And here's the thing, the right one, they won't make you guess. You won't be decoding mixed signals like it's some kind of game show. You won't have to scroll through their messages wondering, did I say too much? Did I come on too strong? Should I wait 3 hours to reply so I don't seem desperate? No, when it's right, it flows. When it's real, it's clear. When it's love, it feels like peace, not paranoia. The right person won't confuse you. They won't breadcrumb you. They won't be hot one day and cold the next. They won't give you just enough to keep you hoping, but not enough to make you feel secure. That's manipulation. That's fear-based connection. That's trauma dressed up in a nice smile and good timing. But real love doesn't play hide and seek with your heart. It shows up, it's steady, it's consistent. You don't have to perform to keep it. You don't have to chase it down and ask where it's going. It meets you where you are and says, I see you. I choose you. And I'm not running. You can't be crowned in a space where you're constantly questioning your place. If you're trying to hold on to people who won't even hold a conversation, you're blocking the ones who would show up with both hands and a steady heart. That crown you're supposed to wear, it won't sit right if you keep bending your neck for people who refuse to lift you up. You've been giving royal treatment to people who show up like tourists, just passing through. And every time they leave, you're left wondering what you did wrong. Baby, you didn't do anything wrong. You just outgrew the room. You leveled up, and they weren't ready for that version of you. The crown is calling, but you can't hear it when you're chasing the crowd. The crowd will cheer for you 1 minute and boo you the next. They'll build you up just to tear you down. You'll be trying to impress who don't even know how to love themselves. let alone love you. That's not the path. That's not the purpose. That's just noise. And let me say this loud and clear. You don't need everyone to love you. You just need the right one to see you. And when that person sees you, really sees you, they won't run. They won't ghost. They won't make you question your worth every time they go quiet. Because they know your heart isn't a game. They know your time is sacred. They know your love is rare. So stop checking your phone for the one who keeps leaving you on read. Stop rehearsing conversations in your head with someone who can't even be bothered to reply. You are not hard to love. You're just giving love to the wrong ones. When you stop chasing the crowd, you make room for the crown, for the one who shows up like royalty, for the one who doesn't just sit next to you when the lights are on, but stays when the room goes dark, for the one who doesn't clap the loudest, but claps the longest. That's the one who deserves your attention. That's the one who's worth waiting for. Let the crowd fade, let the silence come, because in that silence, you'll hear the voice of truth again. You'll remember your worth, you'll feel your power. And one day, when the right one shows up, you'll recognize them not by how loud they come in, but by how steady they stay. Love doesn't compete, it completes. That's the line right there. That's the truth too many people forget. We live in a time where everybody's out here trying to one-up each other, even in relationships. One partner shines, the other gets insecure. One starts growing, the other starts pulling away. But real love, pure love, that kind of love doesn't compete with you. It completes you. When you're with the right person, your success doesn't scare them. It inspires them. Your ambition doesn't threaten their place in your life. In fact, they love seeing you in your element. They're not side-eyeing your elevation. They're standing on the sidelines, yelling your name like you already made it. They don't need to dim your light to feel seen. They shine with you. That's love. See, when love is real, it knows that your win is their win. There's no scoreboard. There's no silent resentment. There's no, why you and not me? Because the right person knows this is not a race. It's a partnership. They're not in competition with you. They're connected to you. When you rise, they rise. When you glow, they're the first to hand you another bulb. But you know what happens sometimes? People get caught up. They fall in love with potential, but not the purpose. They love the version of you that's easy to manage. But when you start expanding, stretching, dreaming bigger, they get quiet, they get cold. They start moving different, like your growth is some kind of betrayal. Let me be clear, that's not love. That's possession. The right person, they'll pray over your purpose. They'll remind you who you are on the days you forget. They'll hype you up before the meeting. They'll show up to your events. They'll celebrate your weird little victories like it's the Super Bowl. Because they don't need the spotlight to feel loved. They just want to see you win. And here's the thing, you deserve that. You deserve someone who isn't secretly tallying your success like a threat. Someone who doesn't feel the need to outshine you. Someone who understands that love is not a competition, it's a commitment. To grow together, to stretch together, to build something that both of you can stand on, not argue over who stands above. Let's get something straight, love isn't insecure. Now, insecurity may exist in us as people, we're all human, but love in its truest form doesn't root itself in comparison. It says, I see you becoming more of who you are, and I'm proud, I'm honored to walk beside you while you bloom. That kind of love. It's secure enough to celebrate you when the applause is loud and still support you when no one's watching. You might meet folks who say, you're doing too much, you're too ambitious, you should slow down. But what they're really saying is, your growth makes me uncomfortable. That's not love, that's fear talking. That's a fragile ego trying to control what it can't understand. But the right one will tell you to keep going. They'll say, dream bigger. I've got your back. They'll offer solutions, not silence. They'll brainstorm with you. They'll help you rehearse. They'll make sacrifices without turning it into a guilt trip. They'll be proud to be in your corner. not because they're behind you, but because they're with you. Real love is proud of you in public and present in private. It's not just there for the big moments, it's there in the grind, in the late nights, in the losses, in the rejection.